is that less is more relative to registration. The more information you ask people for, the fewer people are going to come and actually register for your webinar. People don't want to give you a lot of information. The most you want to ask for is their name and email address, and sometimes you only want to ask for their email address for a webinar. You may not need a whole bunch of information. You know, once you have it, you're great. I would say deselect anything that is not absolutely essential. You don't need their phone number. You don't need their industry. You don't need their organization. For GoToWebinar, you do have to have first name, last name, and email address. So be aware of that. There will be additional information moving, in another video about ways you can actually collect these names on your list. Because remember, it's about building a list. It's about building your list and putting people into a sales funnel where you have an opportunity to connect with them, to share information, and to have other channels open to you. Just because somebody registers at GoToWebinar for your registration does not mean that you have permission to market to them. And you really want to be able to have permission to market to people and to be able to send them follow-up emails. Their names don't go on to an autoresponder list just because they register on GoToWebinar. There are a couple of tools that you can use that will make that happen. Those are called webinar bridges. You can use a webinar bridge. There's a webinar bridge for WordPress that works well. And there's another webinar bridge that you can use for any website, any blog that will let you create a page and your own registration page, and then have people sign up for the webinar on that page, and it will do two things simultaneously. Number one, it will sign them up for the webinar, and their name will appear in the registration list. And number two, their name will appear on your autoresponder list. Those webinar bridges do not work with all autoresponders. If you're working with one of the really premier tools like Aweber or GetResponse or iContact, you can do that kind of thing. But for some of them you can't. They don't necessarily work with some of the other ones. I'm also using an autoresponder called Instant Customer. There will be some additional training about that, and there will be a separate video about webinar bridges, because I think a webinar bridge is very, very important. You hate to be, going into webinar delivery and creating webinars if you're not going to be able to have an easy way to put those people on your list and be able to stay in touch with them on a regular basis. So webinar bridge is very, very important, and definitely check that one out. And now you can also create some questions for a survey, and this is a survey that people will get when they register. So you could make it required or not required. I can ask a question here about copyright. Do you use Creative Commons licensing on your blog? All right, and the Creative Commons licensing is a way that lets you share your content with your readers and with other people. I could make it one of two questions. I could say yes or no. That creates a question on my registration page. I can make it required or not. Again, if I make it required, people may not want to fill it out and they may not register. So I don't ever make anything required. Not that I might not one of these days, but less is more. So having something there is really neat. It can give you a little bit of insight into your audience. There are times when I'm doing webinars about blogging. There are times when I'm working with newbies and people who are still new to blogging, who don't really know a lot. And there are other times when I have an audience that may have been with me, for years already, that has been through No Blogger Left Behind, that may be, producing multiple blogs.